after taking our lunch break. The complainant has rested, so the respondent is calling their first witness, which is Ms. Hoskin. So before we begin with your testimony, I need to swear you in. If you could raise your hand, your right hand, Ms. Hoskin. Can you hear us okay?
It's hard to see Miss Headley.
Can you hear us,
Ms.
okay?
Hoskin?
Yes, I can hear.
All right. If you could raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the testimony you will give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right. You can put your hand down. And could you state your name and spell it for us, please?
My name is Laquita Hoskin, LaQuita Hoskin.
All right. And Attorney Headley is going to start by asking you some questions. And Attorney Hitchcock-Cross, Ms. Tate's attorney, may have some questions for you as well. If you don't understand a question, let us know. Either if you don't understand or if you just can't hear it because of the technology, let us know and we'll restate the question or rephrase the question if necessary. So with that, Attorney Headley, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, Laquita. For the record, can you just repronounce your last name for all parties to hear properly?
Hoskin.
Thank you. And do you mind if I call you Laquita? Do you prefer Miss Hoskin? What would you prefer?
Either is fine. So Laquita's fine.
Thank you. So Laquita, are you employed?
Yes.
How are you employed?
Employed by Milwaukee Public Schools.
What is your job title for Milwaukee Public Schools?
Talent Management Specialist.
And in what department do you work?
I work in the Department of Talent Management.
For those of us who may be a little bit confused or unsure as to where that exists in the grand scheme of MPS, what division does that belong to?
The Office of Human Resources.
So is it fair to say, just for my clarification, that Office of Talent Management is underneath Human Resources?
Yes.
Okay. And where, for the record, do you work?
Like location?
Correct.
Okay. At the central office on 52nd and Valide.
Is all of the HR departments located on 52nd and Valide?
Yes.
I want to go ahead and talk about your career with MPS and your career in general. You stated that you're in the Division of Human Resources. Have you always worked in human resources?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about your work history?
Just MPS history.
How long have you been with MPS?
I have been with MPS for 10 years.
Then yes, let's remain with just MPS then.
Okay. Yep, 10 years at MPS. I started in October of 2012 as a data management assistant, which was basically where we entered the hiring information into the system. So created that database of staff. So that's what I did when I first started. Then I became a human resource assistant. Then it was an administrative assistant, then a recruiter, and now a talent management specialist.
Okay. How long were you a human resources assistant?
For 1 year.
Okay. What were your and how long were you a administrative assistant?
For 1 year. 1 year.
Okay. How long were you a recruiter?
For about 5 years, close to 5.
How long have you been a talent management specialist?
A little over 2 years.
Okay. Can you talk to me a little bit about the duties of a recruiter or your duties when you were a recruiter? Please, for those X number of years.
It was going out to job fairs, seeking, candidates for employment. At that time, I handled the civil service testing for multiple jobs. So doing that pre-screening and qualifying staff for testing, uh, but a lot of like out in the field, going to job fairs, hosting job fairs, that type of stuff.
And your responsibilities as a talent management specialist.
They are similar. That's why I was reclassed to a specialist. Except now I don't have to host or like attend as many job fairs. We actually have two recruiters that do that. I get to focus more on the hiring part and the staffing.
So with I'm going to differentiate them in my mind at least, and please let me know if this is a fair differentiation. When you were a recruiter, you had more responsibilities going out into the field and engaging with the community members to get them to apply, but you also had responsibilities in terms of the application process. Is that an accurate representation?
That is correct.
Okay. And then as a talent management specialist, your areas of focus are more on the latter part, on the once somebody's interested, getting them to apply and walking them through the application process.
That is correct.
Is there anything that you can think to tell me that I haven't asked regarding your position as a talent management specialist?
No.
Okay. Did you hold a talent management specialist in the summer of 2001, which would be last summer?
Yes.
As a talent management specialist last summer, are you, well, let me strike that, please. As the talent management specialist, are you specifically responsible for certain job recruitment efforts or certain positions to hire for, rather?
Yes. Yes.
What positions are you responsible for?
At that time, I was responsible for the food service assistants, the secretaries, children's health assistants, which are like certified CNAs. At that time, I also did some like accounting assistants, and the tested positions that were in finance.
Um, are all those positions civil service based?
They are.
Um, can you discuss the civil service hiring process for those of us who aren't as well versed in it?
So civil service, the process, it's designed to have like fair hiring for individuals. So like we do a testing that every individual that qualifies would take, and then passing that test gets you qualified for an interview for that position.
Okay, so I'm going to walk you back just so I can
Okay.
understand. Is everybody invited to take this test?
No.
Okay. How do you become invited to take the test?
So I do an initial screening for qualifications, making sure they meet the minimum qualifications, which includes, like, did they have a high school diploma, or any other credentials that the job needed. Sometimes it requires, that they have like experience. If there's no experience, then the diploma is enough. I do usually check to see, did they work for us prior? Mainly looking for if they were like discharged or anything, because I need to know if they were discharged, like, can we rehire them? And so those are the types of things I would look for.
Okay. So that is, would you deem individuals to meet those qualifications minimally qualified?
Yes.
Okay. So, with those minimum qualifications, then they are invited. If an individual has those minimum qualifications, then they are invited to take the civil service exam.
Correct.
Okay. And then based upon the results of that civil service exam, they may or may not be invited to an interview.
Yes. If they pass, then they're forwarded on to the department for an interview.
Okay. I'm going to bring your attention now to the facts at issue in this particular case now that we kind of got some understanding of your position.
Okay.
So I'm presently sharing my screen with you. Please let me know if you can see it.
Yes.
Okay. I will represent to you that this is Respondents Exhibit 1, or this document has previously been marked as Respondents Exhibit 1. I've defined it as a job description for a food service assistant. I'm going to let you go ahead and take a couple of minutes. Let me know when you want me to scroll so you can review this document, please.
Okay. You can scroll. You can scroll. You can scroll. Okay.
Have you reviewed the document?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what this document is?
It's our job description
For what position?
for the food service assistant.
How are you familiar with this document?
Because I work with them almost daily.
Is this the food service description or the food service assistant job description that would have been relevant or not relevant, but applicable in the summer of 2001 or 2021 rather?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to turn your attention now to Respondents Exhibit. Oh, before I get there, in 2021, the summer of 2021, did you engage in recruiting events for the food service assistant position?
Yes. I mean, yeah. I'm sure we have job fairs every summer.
My apologies, that was a horribly worded question. Did you post the job? Let me take one step back. Were there positions open for the food service assistant position within MPS?
Yes.
Did you post the job opening for this food service assistant position?
Yes.
Okay. Previously, you testified that that you were responsible for the food service assistants, correct?
Correct.
I'm just making sure that I understood that correctly. Okay. So this would be part of your job?
Yes.
Okay. So turning your attention now to respondents, what I've marked as Respondents Exhibit 2 or R2. It is a 2-page document or 3-page document. My apologies. I can't count. I'll go ahead and scroll back to the top. Let me know when you want me to scroll down upon your review.
You can scroll down. You can scroll down. You can scroll. You can scroll down. Yeah.
Have you finished reviewing the document?
Yes.
Is this the document that you did you create this document?
Yes.
Okay. What, if anything, did you do with this document after it was created?
What do I do with the document? I don't do anything with it. I mean, I post it like to our website.
Okay. And what happens after you post the job description to the website? Do you know?
Then the position is open for applicants to apply.
Did people apply for this job title 101820?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall how many individuals applied for this position?
I do not.
More than 5?
I'm sure, yes.
More than 10?
Most likely, yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and close to 50.
Maybe around there, it could be
Okay.
a little more, a little less, but
Okay.
They
Is that,
usually have around 40 or 50 or more.
how many job positions for food service assistants were available in the summer of 2021?
I believe there were over 150.
Did that have anything to do with the coronavirus pandemic?
Sort of. Some of it was, yes. A lot of people, food service still worked in person. A lot of people didn't want to work, in the buildings, and so we lost a lot of people. So we had a lot of jobs vacant.
Stop sharing momentarily. Are you familiar with the complainant in this case, Miss Lanita Tate?
When you say familiar, what do you like? Do I know her?
Do you know her?
No.
Okay. Did you ever become aware of who Lanita Tate was?
What do you mean aware?
Fair question. Did Miss Lanita Tate contact you about this job opening?
Yes, she emailed me.
Okay. So you've been in communication with Miss Lanita Tate
Yes.
in the past.
Yes.
Okay. Summer of 2021, you've communicated with Miss Tate regarding the food service assistant.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever seen Miss Tate in person?
No.
Um, I'm going to show you now. Hopefully you can see my screen. I'm showing you what's been previously marked as Respondents Exhibit 3 or R3. I'll let you go ahead and take a look at this. Let me know when you need me to scroll.
You can scroll. You can scroll. You can scroll. You can scroll. You can scroll. You can scroll. No. Yeah.
Do you know what this document is?
That is a printed copy of her application from our system, from our applicant system.
So is this application the entirety of what an individual who's applying for the food service position in job opening number 1018204, is this the entirety of the information that they would input into the system?
Yes.
Anywhere in this document or anywhere in the system, the application, does it ask the job applicant if they have engaged in equal employment opportunity complaints?
No.
Anywhere in this application is the applicant asked if they had previously filed a complaint with the EEOC or the state ERD?
No.
Anywhere in this application, does it ask an applicant if they have previously filed discrimination complaints in place of employment?
No.
Does this document alert you, or did this document alert you to the fact that Miss Tate was previously employed with MPS?
Yes, I think she put it in her employment history.
When you say you employed it in her employment history, are you referring to this box that's entitled Work Experience, which is on page 2 of R3?
Yes.
Okay. And in the Work Experience, it identifies the employer as MPS?
Yes.
And the job ending job title is Engineer 1?
Yes.
Okay. And what did that mean to you?
It just meant to me that she was a previous employee.
Okay. So when you are inundated with a series of applicants for a job opening, such as a food service assistant, um, do you have a pattern or a practice about what you do when you recognize that an individual who's applying for a job with you is a previous employee of MPS?
Yes, so I run a query that gives me like all their names. Hopefully they mark, that they were previous employees. I usually just check everyone anyways, because I just check them because I need to know. I don't need to hire someone that was previously discharged or anything. So I would check to see like if the person worked here before, log into PeopleSoft, see like what they used to do, or like why did they leave? Did they resign? Were they discharged? And so that if they were discharged, it would flag me to have to like look further to say, hey, why were they discharged? Is it something that they're rehirable for? Those types of things.
Okay.
If they weren't discharged, then I just move forward with their application.
Okay. And you do that, you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you do that, you check every applicant if they're a former MPS employee?
Yes.
Okay. So this is something that you do roughly how many times a week?
Well, not
Gosh,
necessarily every week.
I was gonna say that's a horrible question. Let me rephrase. How many times? You know what? I'm going to retract that question
Okay.
entirely, because so you do this, just for my purposes of my understanding, you do this with every single applicant for every single job.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to show you now what's been marked as Respondents Exhibit 4. I've entitled this PeopleSoft Screenshot. It's fairly large. Let me go ahead. Do you recognize this image?
Yes.
Why do you recognize this image?
It's a screenshot from our like our data system, our PeopleSoft system.
Did you take this screenshot?
I think I did.
Did you send this screenshot to me?
Yes.
Okay. So, is this a fair, and well, I'll go ahead and let you take some time to take a look at it.
I got it.
Okay. What is this a screenshot of?
This is her job data screen. It just tells me like what her last employment record was.
Okay. And you said her. Who is her?
Lanita Tate.
How do you know this is Lanita Tate's screenshot?
Because her name is at the top.
Are you talking about up here in the upper left-hand corner?
Yes.
Okay. So, if from this document, from this image, rather, can you walk me through where do you look on all the job applications and all the job applicants that you review? If they're a previous employee, they would pop up on a screen similar to that?
Yes. Well, I would
Similar
have to look them up. Yeah, but
Okay.
yeah.
So after you look them up, if they were a previous employee of MPS, would a similar screen pop up?
Yes.
Okay. But instead of Miss Lanita Tate's name in the upper corner, it's going to be Bob Jones, Bob Smith, or whoever it is.
Correct.
Okay. So walk me through your process. Once you get to this screen of a former employee, what is it that you do?
I look at the action and the reason.
Okay. And when you say action, are you referring to this box right here?
Yes.
In the upper right-hand quadrant of the document labeled R4?
Yes.
Okay. What does action mean?
Action means what their final action was with, the company. It might say, that they were hired, or, had a pay rate change, or that they were terminated, or retired, like the retirement.
Okay. So you said that some of the things that you would be flagged or you would give you pause would be I believe you said it was termination. Is that accurate?
It's discharge reason. So it's termination as the action, but discharge as the reason.
Okay. So you look also at the second box, reason.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. And underneath that, under the caret, on the drop down box, there's various reasons that one could select.
Yes.
Okay. And you said discharge was one of them.
Yes.
And when something says discharge, what does that mean to you?
It means that they were let go. Like their employment was terminated. They didn't voluntarily terminate their employment.
And what would that prompt you to then do?
If they were discharged, then I would need to dig a little deeper to find out why they were discharged. Like I would look at their employment record, search our, we have a flag in the system on our page to see if there were anything that says that they were not hireable again, like a do not hire.
Okay. What is Miss Tate's reason as it exists on the screenshot that you took and sent to me?
It says retirement.
What does that mean to you?
It means to me that she voluntarily resigned her position and left the district.
Okay. When someone voluntarily resigns and their reason for the action is retirement, or in this case, retirement, do you look through an applicant's employee file at that point in time?
No,
Why not?
because there's nothing to flag me to say that there was a previous issue.
Okay. Did you look through Miss Lanita Tate's employment file as a result of the retirement action?
No,
Did you look through Miss Lanita Tate's employment file at all?
no,
Have you seen Miss Lanita Tate's employment file?
no. I only like what's in the exhibits.
And that's for purposes of this litigation.
Correct.
Okay. I believe we talked a little bit about the civil service process. But let me ask you a couple questions specific to the food service position, job opening 1018201, which is the pertinent opening in this case. After you looked at the applicant's application materials and made sure that they were minimally qualified, what did you do next?
Then I invite all of the qualified candidates to test.
How do you invite them to test?
I send them an email and I send them a letter via US mail.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen with you again, and I am showing you what's been previously marked as Respondents Exhibit R5.
Mhm.
Go ahead and take some time to review this.
Okay. Okay.
Is this the letter and email that you sent to the minimally qualified candidates for the food service assistant position?
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you a question about this email in particular.
Mhm.
It says that it is from Laquita Hoskin, and it is sent to Laquita Hoskin.
Mhm.
Can you explain that for me?
Because I usually blind copy all the candidates because it's just a mass email that goes out. They get their individual one in the mail.
Okay. So when you have a mass email that goes out, do you always identify it in a blind copy so it's from you and to you?
Yes.
Did you monitor this exam
I'm
or
pretty sure I did.
facilitate the exam? I suppose is a better way to say it. Did you facilitate the exam personally?
I can't remember. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes my assistant does it. We're sometimes in multiple rooms, so I don't know which room, like I can't really attest to that.
Not a problem. Based on the results of the exam, what if anything do you do? Or I'm sorry, scratch that. That was a horrible question. After the exam is completed, what is it that you do?
I go into the system to compile the scores, generate a report basically, and then I send out the results to the candidates, whether they passed or failed the exam.
Okay.
When I send that to the candidates, I also send the department a list of all of those who passed for the interview.
Okay. So in this case, you had there was a series of exams that took place. After the exam took place, did you generate a pass list?
Yes.
Okay. Showing you it's been marked as Respondents Exhibit 6, Food Service Assistant. That's what I labeled it. I'll let you go ahead and take a look at this. So I'll represent to you that's a 1, 2, 3, 4-page printout. Does that accurately reflect the list that you created, or is this the list that you created rather?
Yes.
Okay. Now, obviously, it's in a little bit of a different format since you printed it, since it was on an Excel. Is that correct?
Yes.
So this is just the print off of the Excel sheet.
Yes.
Okay. Do you see Miss Lanita Tate's name on
Yes.
this? Okay. I'll represent that it is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line down. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. So, oh, sorry about that. Are these Miss Tate's results
Yes.
that from the exam at this time?
Yes.
Okay, so there was at least, based upon this document, 1, 2, 3 different exams.
Yes.
One at 9 a.m., one at 11, one at 2.
Yes.
Okay. So from this document, what you said that you created a letter informing the individuals.
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and show you what's been marked as R7. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Okay. What is this document?
It's the results letter.
It's generally a form letter.
Like, is it the same letter for every person? Is that what you mean?
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
With their qualifying responses in.
Yes.
Okay. So this would be the form letter for an individual who passed
Yes.
the civil service exam.
Yep. For the food service
Okay.
position.
For the food service position.
Yeah.
This second paragraph here that I've highlighted on R7. In the upcoming weeks, you will be contacted by the Department of School Nutrition to schedule an interview. It is important that you dress professionally for the interview and arrive 5 to 10 minutes early. This interview will be the final step in the hiring decision. Did I read that correctly?
You did.
What does that mean?
It means that they passed the exam. Now, the next step is an interview process. The interview will be the final decision to say whether you get hired or not.
As a result of an individual, let's say with Miss Tate, she achieved a ranking score of 2 and a score of 96. Is she the only one who received a rank of 2 and a score of 96 or thereabouts?
No.
Okay. When an individual is passes the exam, whether it be, with a score of 96 or a score of 76 or whatever the minimum cutoff is, are they guaranteed a job?
They are not,
Why not?
because there's still an interview process.
Okay. Is it fair to say that the interview process is the final determiner in whether or not they get hired?
Yes.
Okay. Does their minimally qualifying exam score have anything to do with the interview?
I mean, it gets them qualified for the interview. Without that exam score, they can't have an interview.
Sure. After they get after they're minimally qualified for the interview, does the rank or score matter at all?
No.
So you don't, well, let me ask you this. Do you combine, let's say, an interview score with the civil service exam score
No.
at all?
No.
Have you ever?
No.
Why not?
It's not our process.
So once you have a exam pass list, what you said that you, if my memory serves correct, you said that you send the interview pass list to the department that's doing the hiring. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. In this case, showing what's been marked as Respondents Exhibit 8, do you recognize this document? And I'll scroll through for you.
Yes.
What is this document?
It's the list of candidates for interview.
Did you create this document?
I did.
Now, Miss Tate's name, do you see Miss Tate's name on this document?
I do.
Right. And now it's on the 4th from the bottom, when previously she was 6th from the top. Can you explain to me why that is?
Because we don't share the scores with the department, so they just get them in alphabetical order.
So as far as the department knows, this is just the people who are minimally qualified.
Correct.
Do you sit in on interviews with departments? And
No.
why not?
It's not how our process works.
So what happens after the interview process is completed by the department?
Then they will send me the results of their interviews. For them, they were sending me the results via a spreadsheet with notes.
Okay. In this case, in particular, you received a spreadsheet.
Yes.
Do you receive a spreadsheet every time?
When you say every time,
Every time you have a job opening that you submit, that you have a department's interview for.
if I sent them an interview list, then yes, I would
Correct.
have interview. Yes, I would have received it back as
Okay.
with a list with notes.
I'm sorry, we didn't hear that last answer.
Could you repeat your answer?
I say yes. If I sent the department a list, then they would send it back to me with notes.
Thank you.
Showing it's been marked as Exhibit R11. First, I'll let you take some time to take a look at it.
Okay. Okay.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the well, first off, let me stop there. What is R11?
R11 is the interview results that I received from the department.
Okay. And do you know who Christina Roth is?
Yes.
Okay. And are you familiar with this Austin CT and Milwaukee.k12.wi.us? Is that
Yes.
Was that Miss Roth's email?
Yes.
Okay. And who is Miss Roth?
She was a supervising dietitian that handled the hiring in the department. She was one of the leads for hiring in the department.
Okay. And she sent this email to you at your Milwaukee.k12 email address?
Yes.
Okay. This email state attached, you will find round 1 for our FSA interviews. Everyone we would like to hire is in green. I should have round 2 to you by tomorrow. I have one more interview this tomorrow afternoon, and I'm just waiting feedback from a few people that we contacted twice already. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And she sent you this email on Tuesday, August 24th, 2021.
Yes.
Okay. Is this attachment or the latter pages of exhibit R11, is this the attachment,
Although it is a screen, printout of it, is this the attachment that she sent to you?
on August 24th, 2021?
Yes.
Is Miss Tate's name in green?
No.
Under the comment section in this document, made it known that she is just bored in retirement and wants something to do, semicolon, former facilities worker who had issues.
Is that the comment section that was in Miss Lanita Tate's column or row rather?
Yes.
Okay. Is this the only document?
Former,
Is this
Sorry.
the only document?
Did you have something to say, Attorney Hitchcock-Cross?
no, sorry.
Okay. You can continue, Attorney Headley.
Thank you, Judge. Is that the only document, what I just showed you? Is that the only document that you reviewed before sending out notifications regarding the interviews?
Yes.
Did you ever review any material that was handwritten by an interviewer?
No.
So what did you do after you received exhibit R11, the email and the attachment with the recommended hiring and not hiring recommendations?
My next step would be to reject anyone who wasn't selected and to notify anyone that was accepted that they were moving forward in the hiring process.
In terms of letting individuals know that they were rejected, what does that process look like on your end?
We have a system flag that we just choose in the system that says not selected for the position, and then it sends out an auto-generated message.
To the applicant.
Correct.
Okay.
When you received this email on the 24th of August, which apparently was it Tuesday? Did you immediately go through and make the selection that you had to?
Most likely not. Yeah, probably not.
Why not?
I don't always get to read and address an email the same day.
Can you describe for me what August is like generally in MPS's HR? Let me rephrase. Sorry. In talent management in August, what is it like for you as an employee?
It's usually very busy. We're at crunch time for schools opening, trying to fill the vacancies. Um, we're usually working a lot of hours. It's a very busy time.
And out of curiosity, are you a salaried employee or hourly employee?
I am a salaried employee.
And so they expect you to get your work done full stop.
Correct.
So is it uncommon for you to be working on a Saturday or late evening hours in August?
No.
Do you recall sending Miss Tate or clicking the notification to send Miss Tate the rejection notification email?
Do I recall it actually happening?
Correct.
Well, I
Well,
don't
actually,
I know I did it, but yes. So I mean, I guess yes.
better question rather. Do you recall receiving communications after sending or after pressing reject on the system which sent the auto-generated emails with Miss Tate?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall having conversations with Miss Tate via email or phone?
Via email.
Do you recall any conversations with Miss Tate at all over the phone in August of 2021?
I don't.
Okay. Let me go ahead and share with you what's been marked as Respondents Exhibit 12, which is a 1, 2, 3-page document. And it is a series of emails. So I'll start at the bottom, which obviously is how emails chains work.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready for me to scroll, and I will scroll upwards.
You can go up. Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Mhm.
Have you reviewed the document?
Yes.
Okay. What is this document?
It's an email chain between myself and Miss Lanita Tate.
And what date did all these emails occur?
On August 28th, 2021.
Okay. Between the hours of say, is it between the hours of 1 and or 12:55 and 4 o'clock, 4:20?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to start here. Is this first email, is this the auto-generated email that you were referring to earlier?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Tate's response asked, she took this and immediately emailed you, I'll strike the immediate, and emailed you thereafter after receiving it, correct?
Yes.
All right, and you know that this email address purports to be Ms. Tate?
Yes.
Okay. And this is still your email address?
Yes.
Okay. And did you take Ms. Tate's request to please provide me in writing why I didn't get selected for this position? What did you take that to mean?
Provide her with a response as to why.
Okay. What did you do when you received this email?
I replied to her.
How did you look at anything or
We
review
looked at
anything
the-
before?
Looked at the interview notes.
And when you said interview notes, Are you referring to R11, the document that was sent to you by Christina Roth?
No, not the notes, the results.
Is that
R11, yes. R11,
R11?
yes.
Can we just get that answer clarified, please?
So when you said that you looked at something, you looked at
The interview
the
results.
email interview results, which was previously marked as R11.
Yes,
Okay.
Thank you.
This spreadsheet.
correct.
Look at anything else.
No,
Did you make any phone calls to anybody on a Saturday afternoon in
no,
August to ask why Miss Tate wasn't selected?
no. I took what they marked in the notes on the results spreadsheet as the answer as to why she wasn't hired.
Okay. And to review again, just so I'm clear, apologies for anybody who gets ill when looking at scrolling screens. I know I do. You're referring to this job comment section, correct?
Mhm.
Made it very known that she is just bored in retirement and wants something to do. Former facilities worker who had issues. And where in here? Okay, so that's what you looked at, correct?
Correct.
All right. So your response to Ms. Tate's request for an answer in writing was the decision was based on your interview results and review of your file from when you were a former employee. Did I read that correctly?
You did.
Okay. Now, where did you get this information from?
It was my interpretation of her previous employment issues as a previous employee. And so that was my response based on that response on the spreadsheet.
Okay. That response in the spreadsheet, did it make mention of a review of a file?
It did not.
Okay. So a review from your file, that's your interpretation of the comments on the interview results spreadsheet?
Correct.
Did you call anybody and independently verify that somebody looked at Miss Tate's employment file?
I did not.
Why not?
I don't know. I mean, I just went by what they put on there.
So you're, again, just so I'm clear.
Trusting that, I mean, they hold their interviews and trusting that, like with their notes that, what they put on there was accurate.
Now, Miss Tate's response to that was, what's in my file? Last I checked, my file was in good standing. Now, did you review Miss Tate's file after she sent you this email at 2:34 p.m.?
I did not.
Did you personally review her file when you sent the initial response at 2:07 p.m.?
I did not.
All right. Now, your response to Miss Tate at 4:05 p.m., again on Saturday, August 28, was, that is all the information I was provided in the interview notes. I was not given specific details. And obviously, NIT is I'd say a Scrivener's error, typographical error. It's supposed to be not.
Yeah.
I was not given specific details.
Correct.
Is this accurate? So is this statement, that first sentence, is this all the information that was provided in the interview notes? Is that your way of identifying that you only looked at the results from the August 2024 email from Christina Roth?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall looking at those notes and drafting this series of emails back and forth with Ms. Tate?
I would have looked when I sent the first email, I would have needed to know why they didn't choose her. And so like my first response, I definitely would have looked at that results spreadsheet.
Did you look at it ever again?
Probably
And
not.
During the course of this email exchange on August 28th, 2021.
Probably not.
Okay. Ms. Tate then responded back to you on about 20 minutes later, we'll say, who wrote the interview notes based on the person who interviewed me? She said I did well, then told me the next step. So I'm interested to know what was written. What did you do after you received this email?
I told her that that was all the information I could provide and that I'm sorry it didn't work out for her.
Did you request any follow-up information from the nutrition services?
I did not,
Why not?
because I felt like I had already responded.
When you had this series of exchanges of emails with Ms. Tate, were you familiar that Ms. Tate had filed a internal complaint regarding alleged bullying?
No,
Were you aware that she filed an internal complaint alleging discrimination?
no,
Were you aware that Ms. Tate filed or appealed and had a couple grievances from her previous line of employment with building service operations?
no,
Were you familiar with Ms. Tate filing an ERD complaint, not the one at issue where you and I are communicating on, but one prior to that?
no,
Are you familiar now with any of the details of what I just outlined?
no,
Meaning you have no idea what her complaint is for discrimination, internal complaint for discrimination?
no,
You have no idea what the grievance policy or the grievances were regarding?
no,
You have no idea what the previous ERD complaint is? Again, not the one that you and I are talking about right now. The previous ERD complaint, you have no idea what that's about?
no,
Ultimately, let me ask you this. Ultimately, you are the individual who selects hire or not hire, correct?
When you say hire or not hire,
to accept or reject on the application process.
correct, yes.
Okay. What do you base your decisions on when you select accept or reject?
The feedback from the department.
If the feedback from the department says hire, what do you do?
I move forward with hire.
If the feedback from the department post-interview says do not hire, what do you do?
I do not hire. I reject them.
Do you recall a time in your 5 years of first being a recruiter and now being a specialist, do you recall a time period where you disagreed or you did not follow the recommendation of the department post-interview for a job application?
No,
So there's never been a time where the department says hire and you say reject. Post-interview.
I know. I'm thinking. I wouldn't say never. I mean, if someone came and maybe had appealed it to me, and said like, I don't understand what this is, then I may move forward with my manager to say like what, like if they gave me things to say this happened or this, and I would discuss it with my manager and maybe she would have overturned it. Not me overturning it, but a manager could overturn it. But usually it's because the person has expressed to me exactly what, they felt the issue was, and then I have to take it, to someone to review.
Do you recall any specific time that happening? Or any individual in particular?
No, I can't think of anybody
Okay.
in particular.
So why did Ms. Tate's emails on August 28th not prompt you to do that?
She didn't have a specific reason. She just, she was looking for information. She wasn't telling me she believed something people will send an entire thing like this detailing, an issue that they had with the process, and then I would refer that on. I can't overturn it, but like I said, I would give it to a manager, but that's not what I felt happened in that situation.
Okay, so it's a decision that, okay. Gonna ask you a couple more questions that are ancillary or adjacent, I suppose, to what we just discussed. I'm going to share with you now what was marked as, this is complainants 4, I believe, the employee position statement exhibits, and then in it, there's a series of 12 pages. I'm showing you what has been marked. My apologies, and again, for the scroll situation. Page 3 of 12 in complainants 4. This, it's been identified as exhibit 2. This, I'll let you take a look at it first before I ask you questions. Let me know when you've finished reviewing it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this is an email that you sent, or that was sent from MPS Talent Management. Do you know who has access to MPS Talent Management, or what this email is?
It would be myself or like any of the talent management staff.
Okay. And then it looks like this email is from an unattended mailbox. So is this one of those auto-generated emails that we
Yes.
discussed earlier?
Yep.
Okay. Now, this auto-generated email is dated August 18, 2021, and says that the job opening 1018204 food service assistant was Ms. Tate was not selected to fill this position. Did I read that correctly?
You did read that correctly.
Okay. Do you recall why this email got sent?
That's before
it's-
the actual.
Right, that's before the actual interview.
In this instance, it's probably an issue happened with the system, and the job posting was closed probably, and it would have sent out emails to all of the applicants.
Did you become aware that this auto-generated email got sent out to Miss Tate?
I didn't know it went to Miss Tate specifically. I believe, if I can recall, people were calling saying that they got, this email. And so then I sent out an email that said, my apologies, that was sent in error. We're still in the process.
Okay. So that brings me to page 5 of complainants 4, which has also been identified as exhibit 4 on the document itself. Is this the email that you were referring to?
Yes.
Okay. And again, this is your email, correct? For the from line. Is this your email in the to line as well?
It is.
Okay. And again, is this what happens when you mass copy emails to individuals?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. You want to stop showing you documents now, and I just have a couple rapid fire, I suppose, at the end here. Questions for you, Laquita. We heard previous testimony, and you weren't privy to it. I'm not going to get into the details, but we had individuals by the name of Ernestine Rayford and Carol Bell. Do you recognize those names?
Kinda. I mean, only,
Okay.
no. I mean,
You,
when one of the law clerks here had asked about not Carol Bell, but Ernestine Rayford before.
okay. Have you strike that?
Do you know that do you know if Miss Rayford and or Miss, well, let's start with Miss Rayford. Do you know if Miss Rayford was ever hired as a food service assistant with MPS?
Yes.
Okay. And to be clear, you're the individual who handles the job description, posting, and hiring for those individuals, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did there ever become a time where a decision was made to stop interviewing candidates for the food service assistant position
Yes.
in 2021?
Yes.
Did that decision to stop hiring or to stop interviewing rather applicants for the food service assistant position, was it a decision that you were a part of?
I didn't make the decision. But I was privy to the information.
Were you
It
in a
wasn't
meeting or a phone?
Yes. I think it was a conference call.
And why was there a decision to stop interviewing or stop the interview process for the food service position?
My senior director felt that there were so many vacancies that the interviewing process was slowing down hiring. And because there were so many vacancies, he felt like we should just move forward with anybody that, if you passed, you were qualified to gain employment for that position.
Okay. And I understand it's been, a year plus ago. Do you recall when about that decision was made?
I believe it was like sometime in September.
So if Miss Rayford's employment began in November of 2021, did she have to take an interview, or was she subject to an interview?
She wouldn't have been subject to an interview.
Okay. Would she have still been subject to a civil service examination?
Yes.
Okay. And if Miss Carol Bell was hired in 2000 and the early winter of 2022, would she have been subjected to an interview?
Yes. No.
An interview?
Say that again.
If Miss Carol Bell was hired in early 2022, would
No.
she have been?
There would have been no
There
interview.
would have been no interview.
Yeah.
So is it fair to say that throughout the entirety of the 2021-2022 school year, candidates for the food service assistant position did not have to interview with school nutrition?
Correct.
How do you know that?
Because we recently changed it again with this school year, and so that last school year it remained the same for the whole school year.
Were you aware of when the last set of interviews for this food service assistant position were held?
I know that the last interview list I sent out was dated from the group from August 16. Like that was the date of my last interview list that I sent the department. That was the last list that I sent to them.
Is that the list that we looked at previously in Exhibit R8?
That is.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, let's go ahead and look at it. I'll represent to you that I'm sharing my screen. R8 again. Do you see Miss Carol Bell's name on this list?
No.
Do you see Miss Ernestine Rayford's name on this list?
No.
Does that mean that they were not subject to interviews?
Yeah, if they applied after this, then they were not subject to it.
I believe I am finished with this.